Before we do the Lord's Prayer, could we have a moment of silence for the students in Florida for the mishap that happened last weekend, please? Thank you. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And the kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting order. Roll call.
Mr. Decker? Here. Mr. Singleton? Mr. Stoney?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mrs. Williams? Yes.
Could I have a motion to accept the agenda and the agenda, please? Motion. Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Question? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Stoney?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Singleton?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams? Yes.
Start out with administrator report. Sally, you're up first. Shelley?
I had it and then my code just went down. Alright, in tech class, the kids have really been exploring all the different kinds of things, so I wanted to kind of showcase these two young ladies, plus there's a third one that's behind the camera, are kind of showing off all of their skills that they've learned, and they're doing a video that talks about some of the technology that Mr. Jones is using in his classroom. Before I get started, this is all green screen, and these two young ladies wrap themselves with green paper or boxes in front of them, so that thing that's in front of them is not a real thing. So it's pretty cool. Every once in a while you'll see when their hands move, you'll see a little green, so it's not completely seamless, but it's a pretty awesome, just want to show you what they're doing.
Hello and welcome back to today's talk show. I'm your host, Zoe Conwell, and I'm here with Bethany Dickey. And today we have a nerve-rattling, tongue-twisting story about how kids use ordinary robots as battlebots. That is completely disrespectful. What do you think, Bethany?
I think that is very disrespectful too, because Mr. Jones has paid all those robots with his own money, and you're just ruining the chances of other kids to get to play with them.
And Mr. Jones is a very good teacher, and you should respect him and do as he says. Because if you're crashing the robots, it's crashing his bank account, and you wouldn't want that. It's taking away from other kids' chance to learn.
We're about to show you two videos, which I'll be showing you the one video, how not to use the robot.
And I will be showing you the correct way to use the robot. These were both taken live in a classroom.
Now here's the video how not to use the robot.
Can we get an instant replay on that, please?
In those videos, how we showed you the replay of it too, yes, you saw it, they crashed. That is not the proper way to use them.
Now I will be showing you the correct way, because if you do it Bethany's way, you are taking away the chances of other kids learning, and that is completely disrespectful to your teacher and the students. Again, can we get a replay on that? As you saw in my video, the robots went right past each other, unlike in Bethany's video, how they straight collided. That is disrespectful. You should not do the way that Bethany showed you. My way is much better, and that's also the way Mr. Jones wants you to treat the robots. Do you agree?
I agree, because when you're crashing those robots and breaking them, now all those kids have to just sit there and watch other kids get to play with it. Because you broke the robot they're supposed to use. And then you're going to watch everybody else playing with stuff and stuff. broke the robots.
I agree. So, thank you so much for watching today's talk show. Again, I am Zoe Caldwell.
And I am Bethany Dickey.
See you next time on today's talk show.
So this is some of the stuff they're doing. The robots, he has robots going on right now, and he has purchased some of this stuff. And he said, please don't think that he is like wanting money or anything like that. He loves doing this stuff, and he invests in it on his own because he just loves to play with these things. So he's bringing this into the classroom. The kids are having a blast right now. They're using Bloxels, which are ways to build video games with these tiny little blocks, which is kind of like Minecraft in real life. And then they take pictures of it, and it goes into the iPad, and it builds a video game. And the video game kind of looks like old Atari or old Mario. It's real square, but the kids think it's great because they're building a video game. Then you saw those robots, plus he's got some, I'm losing the name of them. They're little round ones that are really cool that they're like coding to move around the room. They're all having a blast right now. So he's been a great addition to the district, and the kids they're just loving it. So that was what I wanted to share. We also are doing our fundraiser right now, and hopefully no more snow days, and we can keep plugging away.
Thank you.
Yes.
Meadowbrook Middle School, Mr. Wheeler.
In January, we started a new club at the middle school, which I think is important to get, kids involved, with as many extracurricular activities as possible. It's a technology club, and it's called the SWAT team, Students Working to Advance Technology. It was open to all students, which is awesome, and we have about 30 kids involved in that club. They've had 2 meetings so far. At the last meeting, they're doing some stuff, I think the balls that Shelley were talking about, robotic balls. Yeah, that's what they're working on right now. They're building obstacle courses, and then they use their iPads and basically take these robotic balls and weave in and out of the obstacle courses, so it's pretty cool stuff. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Norman. He's our 8th grade social studies teacher. On the 29th of January, he was honored as an outstanding educator by the Ohio Department of Education Superintendent of Public Instruction. I believe that was at Zane State, correct? So that's a great honor for him, not just for the middle school, but the entire district. Toward the end of the month, and I'm speaking January, all 7th and 8th grade students were issued a digital library card. And one of my reading teachers took it upon herself to get the ball rolling on this. It's pretty cool. They can use this card and they can check out up to 7 books or audio books at one time with an app called Libby. And that app is installed on all their school iPads. So obviously reading is a deficiency for some students, but by having that app and the ability to get books and all that, hopefully we can gain some ground there. But it's a great resource because kids can, like I said, they're free books anytime.
That ties into the state library.
Oh, yeah. Upcoming events, the 8th graders are going to Washington, D.C. on March 14th. They'll be there from March 14th through the 16th. I'm happy to say that all 8th grade students who expressed interest in going on the trip, regardless of their financial situation, we did multiple fundraisers. We had some donations come in. All kids who wanted to go and express interest in going, regardless of their background situation, are able to go on the trip, so that's awesome. And then I say at every meeting for the middle school, I got a great staff, and they do awesome things in the classroom, and I could be here all day mentioning all the cool things. I got on Facebook before I came, and they built these rockets, and they were going off outside the other day, but I really encourage you to get on Meadowbrook Middle School Facebook, because we post stuff daily, and about every teacher, I just went through the month of January, and I counted about 80% of our teachers had stuff posted on there from things that they're doing in their class. So they're innovative, and they're creative, and it's good stuff to see. So get on Meadowbrook Middle School Facebook and check that stuff out.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kaplan here. Mr. Golick.
Yes, sir. First of all, Ms. Kappa couldn't be here this evening because she had a death in the family. So if you could just keep her in your thoughts and prayers. She's been missing for a few days, so she would have definitely been here. She's going through a tough time. Well, we had our sweetheart dance. It was a success. Kudos to Mrs. Zuris and the people, staff there that was there to help. They just do a great job of putting on a great dance, and I can't say enough about the students when they're there. They're just awesome. I mean, I don't do anything. I just stand there. The kids' behavior is amazing. Mrs. Zuris is on it. kudos to Rolling Hills, because not all dances are like that. We're nearing the end of the third 9 weeks, so we're trying to catch up on grading stuff. Today we did the AccuPlacer test, which is a test for some students to see if they score high enough to get into possibly taking a college class or whatever. So we had some students there today, and some of them got their results very quick, and so they knew whether they were able to do that. As Mr. Wheeler mentioned, I've been at 3 high schools in my career. My high school staff is amazing. April's state testing time. You can go by and you can hear almost every class. This is the time when they'll start reviewing for that state testing. And people don't realize it's a lot of pressure on teachers when you're a tested area. A lot of pressure. The state mandates a lot of things, and our teachers work hard to give our students the best opportunity they can to pass that test. So I know the month of March is very stressful for those teachers in those 7 areas, but they do a fantastic job of getting our students ready. On the 27th, all of our juniors, this is state mandated, they will take the ACT, which the state requires all juniors to do so, which is good because it's free for the students, and they're able to take the ACT test. So that will happen next Tuesday, which is the 27th. And I don't want to take a lot away because I know we have some members over there, but I know the DECA trip is coming, so I'm sure some of the ladies over there will mention that, but I just wanted to let you know that the DECA trip is on their way.
Thank you. Foxfire, Mr. Brown. He's not here.
He may be popping in here
That's
shortly.
right, he may be thought he's at practice. Athletics, Mr. Wheeler, you
Yep, middle school's wrapped up. I always evaluate middle school a little differently. I look at where the kids are at the beginning of the school year, or the beginning of the season, and then the end, because some kids at the middle school level have never touched a basketball, so it's not fair to judge a middle school team by wins, losses, this, that, and the other. But I can honestly say, middle school girls and boys basketball and wrestling program, numbers were up from last year, and they got better as the season went on, and that's all we can ask for. So that wrapped up. Girls basketball wrapped up last night. They played their tournament game up at Carrollton. The girls played really tough. I think we got wore down. The other team, or Carrollton, had some size on us, and it kind of wore us down the fourth quarter, but it was really a tight game clear to the fourth quarter. The girls ended up with 6 wins this year, which is triple from last year. So they've worked hard, and I know Coach Glass he's already given me all the summer plans and camps and this, that, and the other, and he's got a plan in place to build the program, and that's what we need. So it's going in the right direction. It's going to take time. Things like that don't happen overnight. Boys basketball ended the season 16-6, OVAC champions 3 years in a row. Trey Singleton was named OVAC player of the game for our class, and that's 3 years in a row, so that's pretty impressive. And then we finished second in the ECOL. This year it changed a little bit. The East Central Ohio League, which is the league we're in, went to just one big division. So we played the Dovers and Phillies, Zanesvilles twice. Made it tough, but it came down to a last-minute shot, or last-second shot. We would have made that, we would have been champs. So we're right where we need to be. Tournament time is now. It starts Tuesday. We host Morgan at home, 7 o'clock, and I encourage everybody to come. If you want to put this in the paper, that'd be awesome. But pre-sale tickets are tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday from 9:30 to 12:30, and then 1 to 2:30. And they can pick those up from the AD secretary. And then I always put in there, and I put it out on Facebook, Twitter. Call me anytime because I'm around. If you can't make it during those times, and we'll make arrangements to get you a ticket. The school does get $2 per ticket sold, so it's kind of a big deal. Last year we played 6 tournament games, and the check that we got back helped pay for that gym floor this year. So I mean, it is a big deal to help the school out and get your pre-sale tickets. And again, that's this Tuesday coming up, and that's against Morgan High School. If we win that, and we play Cambridge for the 3rd time, and that would be at home on Saturday. So hopefully we get that game. And then wrestling, their sectional starts this Saturday, and that's at Steubenville High School. And we have 2 to 3 wrestlers that have an opportunity to make it to state, which is extremely exciting. And one particularly, he's undefeated right now. He was there. This will be his 4th year in a row, bearing no injuries or anything, and he'll have a shot at wrestling Saturday night, and that's all we can ask for. That would be a good opportunity for him. And it's an exciting time for athletics, so.
Thank you. Mr. Rich, special ed.
Yeah, weather's been kind of crazy, so it's just been trying to get IEP scheduled and get parents to come in and get dates set for that. Colt Club Hoops has finished up another season. That's always awesome. If anybody got a chance to go out and take a look at that. We'll have Colt Club Track coming up this year. We're hoping to get some other districts on board with that this year, so I'll have more information on that probably next month or two. And this year, we've talked about it a little bit last year, we're trying to set up some time for our students from that go to school at the Board of DD to come into our some of our special ed classrooms and be a part of that class, just to try to get more inclusion for those kids as much as necessary. I know Mrs. Turner's working with the Board of DD to get some programs and things set up for some days here in the spring for that, so that's exciting.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Meredith, curriculum.
The last time I checked in with everybody, I was getting ready to go to the Striving Readers Grant Workshop, which Striving Readers is a big grant that Ohio has received, and ODE decided to make a 2-day mandatory attendance for every district that was going to apply. There were originally 700 districts that were looking to apply. Once they went to the 2-day academy, then they heard all the requirements that were going to be a part of it. We are now down to about 200 districts. It required that much work, and Rolling Hill's stuck in it. We are in it with Caldwell, Cambridge, and Switzerland of Ohio. Thank you. So we have been meeting for the past 2 weeks pretty consistently to get everything is due to ODE by next Friday, and then it'll be a quick turnaround, probably quick meeting like a month, maybe 6 weeks before we hear. And then these will be changes that if we get the grant, we'll be able to implement next school year. But we're really looking to support literacy because we know that that has such a foundational piece to every other content area that if we can work with our kids on the language and literacy skills, we'll be able to support them and get them to where they need to be. The great thing is that whether we receive this grant or not, we've gone through a really good needs assessment with our district and things that we need to work on that we're going to be able to strive towards and fix whether or not we get the grant, but it's looking good for us. So.
Good. Student representatives.
All right. I don't have anything really exciting to say. They're gonna go with that. In FCCLA, we missed with all of the snow days and everything. We missed the Kindness Week of Select National, so we're making our own, and we're getting through like what we're gonna do for the week with all the students. Right now there's FFA week, and right now they have themes throughout the week, which is fun seeing all of the students participate in that. I think today was like Taffy Tourist, and they are also doing like Hitting Corn, which is kind of like the deck of diamonds where they hide it throughout the school, and if you find one, you get a prize, which is always really fun. You will see like kids like on their break like, looking behind like pictures and stuff to see if they can find one. Right now we're playing the NHS Easter egg hunt, which is always a lot of fun to participate with the kids. We're going to be doing that at Byesville and Seekers this year. And we also are playing our NHS dodgeball at the school.
Basically, I'm just really excited for our DECA trip coming up. We're going to Disney March 14th through 19th. And I'm just very excited. We've been booking our fast passes, and we have a little countdown in Mrs. Hessen's room with Mickey Mouse, and each student gets to put one on a different day. But before we go to Disney, we've been working on state. We have about, I'd say 30 to 35 members in DECA, and 23 of them qualified to go to state this year, which all 4 student representatives made it to state, and we're all really excited, and we've been working really hard. And basically, I've just been really busy with prom stuff. We have a theme picked, we're getting our venue set, we have a DJ, and we're getting our tickets ordered, and we're just really excited about that. We're meeting a lot, and we have a lot of good ideas, a lot of good students involved. And I'm just really excited to see how that's gonna come. And also, I'm just excited to watch the boys come up in basketball tournaments and go to all the games. I'm really looking forward to that.
All right. For the new board members, I haven't met you guys yet, and I apologize. My name is Rosalie Allen, and I'm so happy to see you guys here. I've been dying to meet the new board, so this is great. And some of the people who attend these regularly, they I typically like to go off in this big whole type speech type of thing, and tonight I wrote one.
It's only 35 minutes long.
It won't, maybe 34.
Okay. Get better.
But, you know, with everything happening in our school district lately and around every school that's in the nation, this is something that I feel very passionate about. So bear with me if I get a little emotional because this is a tough thing for me to have to read about. So, I knew immediately after watching the news on Valentine's Day that I would have to write this down in order to keep my thoughts straight. On Valentine's Day, we witnessed a horrible, horrible event. On a day that's meant for sharing love and happiness, Florida had a school shooting. Now, growing up, you know, these types of things didn't typically happen. And when they did, you know, the country would be shook. Families would gather in prayer, communities would advocate for peace, and everyone shed a tear. Now, after so many incidents related to this one, our country has gone numb. We have filled our political offices with people who aren't attempting to prevent these situations, and it's become normal to hear about these things. I ran into a friend, and I was talking to them about this because it was upsetting. It was the day that it happened, and I called them just to, you know, tell them how I was feeling and see how they were feeling after the news. And she said, I said, aren't you like upset about this? Because she wasn't really saying much, and she said, well, you know, it happens all the time. It doesn't really matter anymore. It doesn't really matter anymore. Well, it should. To give you some insight, the Florida school shooting was the 18th mass shooting in the U.S. in 2018. It was the 22nd school shooting in 2018. It was the 300th school shooting since 2013. And it is the deadliest shooting since Newtown, or Sandy Hook, where 28 were killed and 48 were injured. Now, here's a list of all the school shootings that have happened so far. January 3rd, St. John's, Michigan. January 4th, Seattle, Washington. January 10th, Sierra Vista, Arizona. January 10th, San Bernardino, California. January 10th, Denison, Texas. January 15th, Marshall, Texas. January 20th, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. January 22nd, Italy, Texas. January 22nd, New Orleans, Louisiana. January 23rd, Benton, Kentucky. January 25th, Mobile, Alaska. January 26th, Dearborn, Michigan. January 31st, Philadelphia. February 1st, Los Angeles. February 5th, Oxon, Maryland. February 6th, Maplewood, Minnesota. February 8th, New York City, New York. February 14th, Parkwood, Broward County, Florida. With all of the deaths and injuries totaled up, 38 have died, 41 have been injured. Now, chew on this. We have averaged one school shooting every 4 days. Let me repeat that. We have averaged one school shooting every 4 days. Now, with this in mind, I'm hoping we, as a strong, tight-knit community and district, can stand in solidarity against acts like this. We have obligations to make our schools safe again for our students, our staff, our families, our communities, our state, and our nation. Talk to your students, friends, family, churches, anyone about these types of situations. Encourage and advocate for a safe environment. Talk about to do it in these types of situations through ALICE training and more. Research any questions or concerns that you might have and get educated on gun control laws and mental health issues. Now, some solutions, and you know, if you just consider this, or maybe you already have your own solutions that you'll be talking about later tonight. But I think we should just offer, and none of this has to be required. It's all open. We can offer gun safety courses. We can have teachers participate in active shooter training. We can buy these tools called glass hammers for each of our teachers. Now, the glass hammers thing is very important to me because if anyone has ever seen a glass hammer, they're these like big orange blocks with a tiny little triangle of metal on the end. And just tapping a glass, it will shatter. Now, the reason I think these are important because a test in our high school, one person was able to get their heads out of one of our windows in the classroom, but would not completely fit through. And he was the smallest one in the class. Now, some teachers, we have some teachers who carry bricks, but not every teacher in the district is equipped for that type of situation. So I think we need to provide those. And don't get me wrong, we do a good job with keeping our students safe, but we need to do a great job. Now, if you think that maybe just doing things like this isn't enough, call our representatives, talk to them, give them your opinion, write a letter to the president. I mean, there's so much to do. Whether you're organizing, to go on the walk, that's going to be happening in Washington, D.C. Things like that. Just, participate and get activated. And remember, if you see something, please say something. Thank you.
Public participation, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Just in regards to that, I would like to know why us parents weren't informed about the shooting threat the night before, and we were informed the next day. Basically, after it's too late, we've sent our kids to school. My son goes to Sechrist, but I was scared to death all day because there's a kindergartner, I think it was in Maslin, who took a gun to school. Anyway, I just want to know why it was important enough to call the sheriff's department, but it wasn't important enough to call the parents.
You want me to handle that? Or you can?
I'll do it. And first we love you, and you did a great job. And we understand the emotion behind this, 100%. Most of us are parents in this room. And it's a shame that kids have to feel this way. I mean, that's the reality. But just, and to answer your question, there was never a credible threat at our district. There was a concern that a student's overheard other people talking at what turned out to be the Florida shooting on Valentine's Day, and that students reached out to building administration, who then reached out to myself and our school resource officer, who then contacted the sheriff's office to make sure we're going to check everything out, because that's a scary situation. So they sent deputies to the home, talked to the child that was having fears, and there was no credible threat. There was nobody that said that this was going to happen, somebody's going to bring to school, and they got all that information. They deemed the situation up as things were fine. And this was something that happened late through the night, and we talked, I don't know, after midnight probably, and I talked to our resource officer, things were clear, there was no threat, and we felt that safe to go to school. But when we get to school, because I'm not saying we're perfect in this, I'm just being honest with you. So when we get to school, Mr. Golick informs me, hey, he's got some people that are a little bit concerned about it. He's going to monitor the situation and keep me posted. It turned out that it created a life of its own, and lots of different rumors were shared, and out of fear, which we totally understand. So we communicated that with administration, and then we felt it was necessary to do one call to let people know, hey, a lot of rumors are out there, that there's no threat, things are okay. And when we do things like that, and I even called the building administration to let them know that it creates more panic, because people are thinking of what's going on, things to that nature. And with being a parent and everything that's going on and the emotion that kids have, I understand it. And should we have sent a call the night before? Maybe. Maybe that's the right option. We chose not to because the information that we had wasn't credible, there was nothing, but maybe that's something that we do. We actually had meetings today that if something like that arises again, we're going to share that information. It may or may not help, because some people react differently to information that's shared to them. But we thank God every day that it wasn't real, but we also pray every day that It never happens here, and we have to be equipped to handle that.
So it wasn't an internet threat?
It was,
And
it
it
was
was somebody
sent-
overhearing some other people
Correct,
talking?
it was sent through an email to our building administration. That's how we first notified
And
them.
who was it sent from? It was a viral email and it was sent,
I-
I don't understand. So it wasn't kids overhearing other kids talking about it? Or talking about the threat or talking about the shooting?
There were numerous rumors from that day, numerous rumors from that day. There's some that are unbelievable to hear and sad to hear, but so there was numerous rumors.
Okay, because the sheriff's department, was it that it was a internet rumor that was going around or something that was going around the internet?
It was a chain
That's what,
email
a
is
chain
what it
email is
said.
what we
And
were
that's still
told.
going on. There was one of those last night at another.
And I know
local
it's
school
happened to a lot of
district.
school districts around here, but that wasn't what prompted what took
Well,
place. It was other
the
kids
first-
talking.
The first thing that prompted that we were notified was a student email to our building administration
Okay, so it was sent to Rolling Hills Administration and it was
from a student, correct?
from a student saying, what was the student?
They're about their concerns. So then we immediately contacted.
That they
us.
overheard something
Correct.
from other students?
Yeah. It was sent from a student to building administration
Yeah.
about concerns they had, and they wanted to make sure that everything was safe. So, building administration contacted the sheriff's office to make sure that we went out and talked to the said student. I wasn't the deputies that interviewed the student, nor would I ever be, but they deemed things were okay, and it was hearsay and fear.
But where does the internet rumor or the internet chain mail come into place?
It comes in, there's been 32 in Ohio this last week.
Yeah.
The internet rumor's real.
Mhm.
The internet rumor happens. I'm speaking about our specific incident, what information we have on Friday.
The concern that I have, and I'm sorry to speak out of turn.
You're
No,
fine.
no, that's, no.
Is the communication part of it, and I know in hindsight, it's easy to look back and see what we should have done. But in my line of work, I try to be proactive as opposed to reactive. And the all-call that came out was a statement that said that it was a chain email, that it was derived, that is true.
I
That is
sent the
what it
all-call.
said.
I didn't say that.
The
Did
sheriff's
anyone else
report
listen to
said,
it?
the sheriff's report said that.
Yes.
The sheriff, yeah, I didn't,
Not-
that wasn't me.
I didn't say it was you, I said the all-call that came out
I sent that.
it said that it was a chain email.
It didn't.
Not the all-call.
But regardless, that's an irrelevant thing. I sent it unless there's some, an all-call that I'm not aware about, but the sheriff sent, I don't know.
Okay, then I'm.
But it tends, those things just
Right.
tend to build. And
Right.
you can go out and you can know, even though there's no threat, you can go out and notify people. And then when you do, and we talked about it Friday morning, is it gonna make it better, is it gonna make it worse?
And you don't know.
You never
You
know,
do not
and
know.
that's it.
And no matter what decision you make, it's not gonna be the right one. I just feel like in a proactive approach to things in this society that we have right now, in the current state of our nation, with these things happening in the schools more frequently, a proactive approach to inclusion and clear communication so that the parents can make that decision, because no one wants to be left in a situation where, man, I wish I'd made that call last night instead of today. And like I said, in hindsight, we can see how it should have been done. But to find out from my freshman son through a text that he wants me to come and get his sister because he doesn't want her there, and I'm like, for what? What's going on? It's terrifying. He doesn't care if he's there, he wants his sister gone. So, to hear that, and then you call the school and they were very kind, and yes, there was a report, it is not a credible report. We understand if you feel like you need to come and get your child. Very respectful, very well handled, absolutely. But in hindsight, it would have been nice to have a proactive approach to it. Again, hindsight is always 20/20.
Totally fair. We understand that completely.
So when the girl overheard, or whoever, the student overheard other kids talking and sent you and, or administration an email, okay, she said she was scared at that point. Then you did an investigation immediately?
Correct.
And so
Sheriff's office did.
The sheriff's office, and did
Correct.
you all talk to the kids that she pointed out that we're talking, is that what happened?
She never pointed any specific person was ever named in this. There was no credible threat.
But I don't understand, she overheard kids talking
Correct.
about a shooting.
Correct.
Where did she overhear this?
From, in the lunchroom, talking
So
about.
she had to have known what kids were talking. So did she tell you who the kids were? Did she tell law enforcement who the kids were that were saying these things?
Am I right? They weren't talking about a shooting here, they were talking about the shooting in Florida.
Okay.
They
so
weren't
how
making
did-
threats
so
of
how
a
did-
shooting here.
I understand.
Yeah.
So how did law enforcement figure that out, that that's what happened?
They
That-
went to
that
the home of the child and interviewed them.
The child that she told,
Correct.
said, who was talking about it.
Correct.
So that night,
That night.
law enforcement went and interviewed that kid, and the
That's
kid said, I was just talking about what happened in Florida.
The person that sent us the email, that's the information that was relayed to deputies, correct?
So after the deputies talked to the kid that she said was talking about.
I'm not
shooting-
sure what you're looking for.
No, I'm not looking for anything, I'm trying to understand
Yeah.
what's going on.
We had
Okay,
this meeting.
maybe I need to be
This
talking
is
to
real
somebody
life
else
stuff.
here who is not
The girl
antagonistic.
they talked to, who had the concerns, when they talked to her, she told them it wasn't really about a shooting, it was here, it was about the shooting in Florida.
Yeah.
So at that point, they, it wasn't something that was going to happen here. So they were satisfied that it's not a shooting incident here that they were talking about, it was a shooting
And that was
incident
the
in Florida.
deputies going that very night,
Yes.
talking to the kid,
Yes.
who she,
Yeah, correct. And relieved her fears and kind of found out from her that what was said was not about here, it was about Florida.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, but-
Because it's very convoluted here, so I'm trying to understand. Okay, so it was that night you guys felt comfortable enough, and the deputies felt comfortable enough after talking to that kid, that
Right.
it was just a misunderstanding, that girl misunderstood
Yes.
them. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. And then it just so happens that at the same time, there was an internet rumor going around too, or an internet thing going around at the same time. To other schools, to this school and to
Yeah.
others.
There's lots of.
Yeah, and people picked up on that. And then the rumors just started spreading and they totally got it.
You can imagine
If
the
I may.
conversation.
Yeah, Chad?
Around 9:30 that night, Ms. Catholic called me, give me the information, give me the students' information. I dispatched deputies to the house. As they're speaking and they're pulling information from it, every detail that the deputies called and reported me was a mirror image of Florida. The student didn't really know the news of Florida, but as they're saying, well, I heard him say this, and I heard him say this, the deputy was smart enough to say, that happened in Florida, that happened in Florida. So they were able to sit down with the student and say, okay, this did happen, but in Florida, this did happen. So when you say you heard people talking about a school shooting, was they talking about shooting Meadowbrook? Or the facts you're saying is matching here? So when we got the call back, I truly felt it was a contained incident, and I didn't know the email stuff was out there. And somehow it hit and it blew up. And I'm gonna be honest, it blew up before we even knew it was blowing up. But when he and I talked, I had no reason to think anyone's in danger. The deputies told me there's no active threat. It's not a credible threat is the term we use. So after midnight, when I spoke to him, they relayed all that. I come to school the next day. I had no reason, and then I heard a kid go, well, I heard an email. I'm like, no, Ms. Kappa sent me an email. So then I'm hunting for a corner. I go back, I start reading back through the email. I'm like, did I miss something in this? And I didn't. And by that time, this person told 3 people, and those 3 went and told 10. And at no point was there ever. And I thought I heard today, just in this area, I think it's up around 20-some schools have went through this now. So we're not. But hindsight, like you said, is 20/20. And Mr. Caldwell and I spoke. Based on the knowledge I had that night, from a law enforcement standpoint, tactically, we did everything correct. Cosmetically, we could have changed some things and let people know. But at the information I had and he had at the moment that it happened, we had no reason to think it was gonna blow up past that. We thought it was a contained and we didn't know that. Hindsight, it is 2020. I wish we would have called people, but we didn't have that information at that time. The threat that was investigated that night, it was clear. Even the kid came to school the next day, he's like, okay, good.
So if,
You just
say,
said he
if
and
something
it's a she.
happens, if something happens.
Because they don't know who it is, I do.
Okay, so if something
It's
happens.
a sheriff's office investigation. No one here
Okay,
knows.
I was
who
just
it is.
confused, I was like, wait a minute, you said he,
Yeah.
you said
We
she,
don't
what
know.
what are we?
Because, other than myself, the deputy, well, everyone in the sheriff's
Yeah.
office now, because they've all read the report. The deputy that went, myself and Ms. Catlett, no one, I don't even know if Mr. Golick knows the
I
story.
do not.
So if you had overheard, if the girl had overheard, same situation, and then say you went and spoke to the student, she said these kids were talking about a school shooting, then if you went and investigated it, and you felt like, ooh, you know, maybe there is some credibility to this, then would you have called off school?
I'm
What
gonna tell
would-
you,
what would
I'm
happen in
gonna
that
answer that for
situation?
you. There would have been buses parked in front of the driveway, no one would have walked on that campus that day. Now I'll leave that to him to answer. but-
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Number one priority. We talk about it all the time.
I don't wanna question your investigating, but did you talk to the kids that were supposedly talking about it? Because, I don't know if it was Twitter or YouTube, I think it was, this Nicholas Cruz had made a comment about, I'm gonna be a professional shooter. You know, and you can't take these things lightly. With your investigation, I don't know, I wanna know as a district, what can we do to get security checkpoints in our schools to make sure guns aren't gonna be able to get in? You know, we're in a rural area where there's tons of guns almost in every home, you know? And to get those into the schools, it scares me. You can't go anywhere without going through security. So why are we not protecting our kids? And what can we do as a community or a school district to raise the funds, whatever we need to do, and get, right now, get security in these schools?
Well, like I said, and I don't mean to like intervene if this isn't at all inappropriate. That's why I said, that's why I might have options, whether that be active shooter training or gun safety courses that are offered, things like that, in case situations like that do happen. But I think later tonight they're going to be deliberating on that. I have faith that they're going to be talking about that later and things we can do. And I'm already happy with this, commitment to safety thing, and I know that's not going to guarantee anything, but I feel a lot better about it knowing that we have this and that they're going to be meeting tonight, and with us giving them the options about it, that I know they'll try to figure something out about the safety. But as far as I can only hope that no gun ever comes in and out of the school. But I think with everything that happened in the high school, Mr. Golick and all of our teachers and Mrs. Catlett, they're doing a great job so far. They've been really monitoring the halls and checking in with our students. Like if they see someone out of class, maybe they shouldn't be, they stop and talk to them and say, hey, what are you doing? Like things like that. So I feel pretty safe, and I think your kids should too. But-
We are going into executive session, I can discuss this.
Thank you. And all the little things you can do and walk around. You can't go into the airport and get on an airplane without getting checked through security. I went through one time and I had air blown on me. I had everything taken out of my purse with a cotton swab put in a machine. This is serious. We're protecting these people that are on planes. How many people are on a plane? But these are our kids. We need to protect them. And it's just scary stuff. Like, I want to homeschool my son now. And I just feel like we need to get security in place. And will that stop it? No. If somebody really wants to shoot, they're gonna come up and probably shoot the people in line to get through security. But we gotta do something. And, you can't go into the courthouse up here in Cambridge without going through security now.
We are
So,
going to focus on that.
thank you. Yes.
You can ask the students, when I teach my ILS class to the students, I start every class out that I am embarrassed as an adult that I even have to talk to you about this.
Right.
You remember when I say that, girls?
Yeah.
I don't know how else to even start into that conversation, because it should be embarrassing as adults that we have to teach our kids this.
It's tough, but like she said, there's a lot of mental health going on and people that don't get help and, things like this happen and it's unfortunate this is the world we live in now,
We have a lot of clubs at the high school. We have Lifeline, which is a suicide prevention coalition group, but we also deal with mental health stuff. We have we go to training seminars and things like that, and what to do with situations where students may be feeling down or depressed, and we know what signs to been resurrecting those, like this past year, but with everything that happened, we're definitely on high alert. And after the incident at the high school happened, I mean, there were students who were having panic attacks, and we all just came out and we like sat with them, tried to get them, off, get their mind on a different subject, tried to calm them down. And I thought a couple of the members did great. I mean, and then Mr. Gold came in and was able to calm a couple students down as well. I mean, I thought that was amazing, but we're definitely teaching about it in the high school. I can guarantee that.
I commend you as a student, for everything that you do, and I appreciate that, so it's just scary, you know?
I understand your concerns, I didn't know about it till 12:30 or so the next day. I had a parent call me, a grandparent call me, and said, do you know what's going on at the school?
You're panicking by the.
Well, I called Mr. Caldwell, and he advised me at that point, that it was, basically taken care of, and there was no immediate threat. And then I returned a call to that grandparent, but I'm a parent, I've got a son at the high school. And I sat and thought about it a little bit afterwards, and I thought, wow, we do really need to address this. And I think tonight we'll come up with, Mr. Singleton's presented some stuff, that I've just seen on YouTube and different things. So I think, I agree 100%. I understand you as parents.
Thank you.
100%. So we'll do everything we can to, I think somebody mentioned earlier to try to be a little more proactive, and I agree. Be proactive and don't sit back and wait on the fight to come to you. So I think tonight is the first step in the future, being proactive. So unfortunately, hate to say, it took what happened again before we sat down and do this. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, but I do know that it's more and more often, and it does, we need to do something here. We've been fortunate in this district. Let's kick it in the hind end right now, and let's come up with some proactive.
We know how you feel, because everybody up here pretty much has children in the school right now, all of us.
Yeah, and I have.
Grandkids.
I just don't wanna.
Or grandkids.
I got
I wasn't
questions
sure.
myself as a
Yeah,
board
we're
member that
grandkids.
we're gonna address tonight. I really do, because, like I said, and I hope that I have grandkids to go here, and with the new school coming and different things, let's come up with a good, solid plan. And
I
that's
think
what
where my anger comes from is, I was in Columbus that day, and I get a text from my fiance or a phone call, whatever he did. I think he texted me and said, there was a shooting at the high school, and you get that, and you hear there's cop cars everywhere, and I have nieces and nephews and cousins that all go there. So I'm calling their mom and telling her, and she's freaking out like I hadn't heard this. I'm like, go get your kids, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
You wanna say that it's never gonna happen to us, and you hope that it don't, but
The
the reality
gentleman
is, you
called me.
don't know.
He was mad.
But
Johnny,
then-
you're that,
But you
what
know-
can you tell me? I thought, and that's nobody's fault here. I'm just, it was one of those things, he was upset,
But then you
and
bring extra security in to try to relieve people's minds, and on the opposite
So-
end, it creates more, because why are all these officers here?
Well, I just
So,
think what it
you know,
was
It's
is
exactly what
It's
happened.
finding out the
I
next
brought
day.
extras in,
And that's exactly what
Now
happened.
people think, well, there's a lot of cops there, so
Something's
something
really
did
going
happen.
Something's really going
No,
on.
When
I
were
made
the
a phone call and I
extras
pulled
brought
all
in?
the road units to the school,
When did you have the extra?
trying to put people at ease.
That morning? Yeah, okay.
my wife got on
Friday.
the phone right away and was texting our son, and, and like I said, I appreciate you parents bringing this up and talking about it, and it's something that, is gonna take place here, and we're gonna do something.
Like I
proactive.
started to say, the anger comes from finding out the next day that they knew the night before, and you're like, what? So now I'm like, let's get stuff in place, like, we can't have this kind of stuff happening, and I know we're not perfect, but we need to be proactive about it.
Yes, I agree, and I think that'll be a very interesting discussion tonight, and I think something good's gonna come out of this, and something positive and good and proactive, so, again, I figured I anticipated more people, more parents, but this is a good thing, this is good to discuss and bring out, and I don't think anybody should look at it as, we're wasting time here, because this is our kids and our future, so thank you
Yes.
very much.
Give you
for-
peace of mind to know there's, security in place, so.
I agree 100%.
We look
And I
forward
know
to
we
hearing
do,
what-
It's just we gotta do something, and, we'll get a good start on it
Your
tonight.
job is not easy, and it's easy for us to sit out here and bark at, what you should or shouldn't do, or how you're gonna do it. It's very easy for us to do that, and your job is very difficult, and I acknowledge that it is not a fun situation for you guys to be in. funds aren't the best word to use, but, you know, it is no situation anyone wants to be in, and unfortunately, the conversation had to come a little quicker than probably was hoped for all of us, but.
He's been trying to tell
But-
us this is hard.
The comment you just made is totally unacceptable. For you not to know, as a school board member, until the next day, that's terrible. That can't happen. I have no confidence that that guy can make the right decision.
I missed that part, so, yeah, if the communication has to pick up, and I wanna say this, and I heard that your daughter was at church, but I heard your daughter didn't go to school that day, you know? So how do us parents, like, why didn't we get to make the decision to send our kids to school? Cause I wouldn't have sent my son, even though it's at the high school and he's clear out secrets. This is real life stuff, and it's scary.
And if that's accurate, he should be fired.
That's not accurate.
That, a lot of this is all rumors.
And then the other thing is, around a year ago, maybe somebody can help me, my memory's not great, but wasn't there a thing where there were supposed to be cans in each classroom with safety items?
An Alice bucket.
Yes.
You probably know what an Alice
You were
bucket is.
talking about this
We were
today.
talking about it today.
And we were talking, didn't this happen like a year ago when we talked about these Alice buckets?
The buckets,
Yeah.
Rolling Hills got the buckets donated, but the contents, we, as a district, are struggling to get the proper equipment in it. And I said today that I'm gonna go to Jerry Beckner at the EMA office, because the last thing I want is Rolling Hills to have a list of items in their buckets. East Guernsey have a list, Cambridge have a list. I want every bucket countywide to be a mirror image of each other. So when United personnel go in, they know what's in each bucket. They know what equipment they already have in the building. Sheriff's deputies go in, they know what's in there, they know what they can utilize. So it's great that Rolling Hills is wanting to do that and be in the forefront, but I'm trying to look at a bigger picture and try to do it countywide, so every student in the county has the same opportunity for the same equipment. And if we decide that we're gonna put 4x4s, we're gonna put the same amount in every bucket. And I've spoke to the nurses, and I think the nurses and myself are gonna talk to the EMA, Jerry Beckner, and see if we can start doing that. But the buckets, Rolling Hills have.
But there's nothing in them.
Huh?
But there's nothing in them.
No, that we're not gonna implement it yet.
That's completely unacceptable. If we're gonna implement something and a year later it's not in place, that's a problem. We have companies that are more than willing to donate. If you ask, they would be more than willing to fill those things with whatever is necessary for the entire county. Bicon Services, Basic Systems, Colgate-Palmolive, are you kidding me? They donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to this community, and if you think that they wouldn't do that for our school districts, I'll talk to them, because I can guarantee they will. They would have had those things full. If you said that we need to get this, we will get it done. There is no doubt in my mind that it would get gotten done. And I will be more than happy to help you get what you need to get in those if you need help. Because that is, I mean, to have a bucket is gonna do not a bit of good in the situation. You can have all of your classes, and it is not a judgment.
Is this
Sorry.
supposed to be a
It's not a
security
judgment on
stuff
you.
in
It's
the
not an
buckets?
easy thing to do, and I'm sorry it's coming out
The
that way.
buckets contain things like she was talking about, the
Yeah.
hammer to break the windows,
okay.
those types of things.
But it's another
Like
reactive.
self-defense.
A little first aid kit, just different things that you would have there.
But it's
in
another
your-
reactive response that for a year,
Right, I
if we had
understand what
had
you-
it, if this had actually happened last week,
I understand
we
what
would have
you're
looked
saying.
back and said, man, I wish I'd have had something in that bucket. Maybe they could have got out. Maybe the kids in that room would have made it. Because a year ago, we made a decision and we didn't follow through. Like, that breaks my heart for our kids. That we can't fill a bucket with necessary items, but we can get them iPads to do their work on, but you can't fill a bucket to save their life.
New gym floor.
And I'm sorry it's coming out judgmental, because I do not want it to be that way, because it is not easy to be in your position. I fully respect the fact that it is not easy to be there. However, there has to be some accountability for the safety of our children.
I agree.
Because if
100%.
you are not gonna protect them, then we need to find something else that's gonna work.
Yes, and you know.
Because I have a daughter that can't protect herself.
I can appreciate
So-
this passion, because I've been accused
of being a passionate person, and sometimes I go overboard, but I really respect what everybody's saying, because this is our kids, and how could you ever move on if you said, why didn't we? You know, it's gonna be an issue where you can never forgive yourself, we could never forgive ourselves, you know, if we don't do something here tonight, later, and then get something
Well, my
resolved.
God, if something
So
happens
don't
tomorrow
ever
and I
feel
don't
like
have an idea of what I'm
judge
gonna
us,
help you
because
do,
that's why we're here, judge us. I wanna be judged, I wanna be judged, judge us.
it's not a judgment, I do
No, I
not.
want it, though.
yeah.
That's what I-
It's a matter of holding people accountable for expectations.
Yes.
I do not ever wanna be judgmental, that is not my intention, because it's not fair.
You can
I
call
don't have
judgmental or
your, I don't
accountability,
do what
but
you do.
it's the same in one with me, you know, and I understand, and I appreciate, I do. I appreciate, you know, I don't know you guys, but I do appreciate, you people, I'm sorry, guys, I should, but, you know, this is what people need, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. Passionate people need to speak up, and be passionate, and be aggressive, and make change.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's
the
what
kids,
you're doing.
Yeah, and the kids adore you. I have not met a child yet that does not know who you are, when you're somewhere, where you are. So your presence is very much known and very much appreciated. So I don't want you to feel like, you know, it's not. You are very much welcome and appreciated for what you do. But please, I will give you my name. Angie knows me. If y'all wanna get a hold of me, let me know. I will help in any way I can.
Thank you, that's awesome, because like I said, it takes us all, whether you see eye to eye or not. The bottom line is, this is kids, you know, and this is our kids and our future. I don't wanna be on a board of education that something bad happens. I don't wanna be under that watch. I don't wanna be here, period, and see it, but I'm passionate about it, and I respect, you know, every comment. You know, if it were harsh, it's harsh, but, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do as a parent. So, you know, thank you.
And we will work on it, we guarantee it.
And not every comment is a slam.
Exactly.
Not every comment is.
I agree,
And
100%.
sometimes it's taken that way.
It's from the heart.
It's trying to get to the bottom. If, like, this is the first I'm hearing about the fact that a girl heard other kids talking about it, because the way it was relayed was that it was an internet rumor and all of that. So right here is the first time I've heard this. So that's why I was trying to get to the bottom of it, because this is totally new news to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get at anything other than the truth and just trying to find out. I'm not trying to pin it on anybody or get anybody in trouble. I'm trying to understand what happened here and what would happen if situations were different. Okay, so say it was credible. Okay, what are you gonna do? You certainly aren't gonna not, I would hope you would call us so that, you know, parents can make that decision or cancel school, whatever. Yeah, exactly, right. But, you know, the question has to be asked. And so if parents don't feel that they are getting the truth the first time,
Transparency.
if it's not transparent and it seems like things are being skirted a little here and there, we don't wanna tell you this, we don't wanna tell you that, you will never have the trust of parents going forward. And they will never, because we're trusting you with the safety of our children. And there's nothing more, you know, that's the most important. So we have to be able to trust y'all. And so there has to be the transparency there. And there can't be after the fact, oh yeah, well this is the story. This was the story, but now it's this story. You know, so that's all I wanted to say. Get to the bottom of it.
Yes, thank you. You wanted to?
I've got a question or something off of a different topic if everybody's done with that. If not, we can go with that topic, but I've got another question. And also Mr. Brown's here if you wanna get his thing in before me. It doesn't matter.
He's fine, go ahead. I'm sure he won't
No,
miss
here's my
working tonight.
question. We've had 22 meetings, executive session's been thrown around a lot since this topic came up. We've had 22 meetings since June 30th of 2016. And there's been 4 executive sessions where you came back and voted after the fact. The question to the new board is, do we need to stick around like a Marvel meeting or Marvel movie to see if there's going to be a vote?
I can tell you, I will tell you beforehand if there's going to be a vote afterwards.
Okay,
I
well,
think
legally
you
have to. Here.
Yes.
We always did. We always did.
Well,
Other than nothing new.
you didn't on 12/28/17.
Then we didn't vote.
When there was 10 days of vacation, that's in the minutes. Or on 8/17 about the pre-annexation agreement, or on 825 on the bonuses.
What we've done in the past is usually there'll be if you know that there's gonna be action, you will say that so people can hang out. If you
Well,
don't
I was here
know-
on 12/28/17.
Right, but I'm saying, if you know there's gonna be action, you would say that. If you don't, you may or may not. I mean, you may not like that answer, but that's kind of the way.
Well, no, I
If
don't
we
have
know
a
there's
problem
gonna
with
be
it, I was just
action,
I mean, I was
like Deb
digging
says,
into,
you say
there was
will be
22
action
meetings, there
following.
were 4 actions.
Mhm.
It seems like when there's votes after the executive session, that it's trying to sneak through stuff.
Yeah, that's not.
I mean, is the new board gonna try to sneak through stuff?
Absolutely not, and I appreciate, like I said, transparency is key.
Yeah,
I think that's why there's been change. I think that's why there's change. It gives people the right to make change and vote, and that's why there's change. That's why there's new board members, and that's what's happening.
Well, I can promise you, if there's gonna be a vote afterwards, I will tell you.
Thank you.
You can hold me to
And that's why you're in that position too.
that. Thank you.
Because you have a long history in this county of respectful
Thank you.
behavior and I am not knocking anybody that's still there.
And I don't
I'm
know
not
your
knocking anybody
name,
that's
so
there.
I didn't pay for
You
that.
know my name, you know. I'm Dan Webster's daughter.
What's that?
I'm Dan Webster's daughter.
Oh, okay.
I don't take after
I've been doing this for
my
50 years.
mom.
so- Is there anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, the original comment that I came in here and made. New school building. We need to have some public discussion on the new school building. This is absolutely, the rumors that I'm hearing, terrible situation. Okay? The safety of the district will be addressed. We voted the levy down. Okay? When we got the money granted, Mr. Caldwell said he was glad to see that we got the abatement because obviously we couldn't afford the levy. It wasn't that we couldn't afford the levy. We didn't want the waste that was tied to the levy. Okay? I'd like to have some information on what's going on in the school. I know we can't do it tonight. I'm not just gonna do it tonight. Okay? But we need some open discussion.
There will definitely be open forums before anything's decided
Yeah,
on the bill.
the building projects is a multi-year project. There's no plans or designs or anything like that in place. So if you're hearing rumors, they're fictional. That's not true. The board will actually have to adopt a resolution come April saying we want to participate, March, saying we want to participate in the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission project. And then at that time, that's when some more information will be picked up and they'll assign architects and we'll work with the state and them, and then they'll develop plans and get input. So right now, I know it happened a while back, but right now we're at a holding pattern and we really don't have information because we're not officially funded by the state until we would adopt a resolution saying we want to participate.
But to be on that, there are some preliminary drawings and things that have come out, but they're not finished, they're not finalized, and they wouldn't be until everybody got to see them, and until, once they're finalized, then everybody will get a chance to see the different options of what anybody wants.
And that original plan will change substantially because during the levy that you mentioned, we were looking at a 60% share. We are now 49, so that whole scope of work is gonna shrink tremendously in what we can do, so.
And both of us were in during those meetings, and we know that they have community members in there and things like that, high-standing officials. Like, nothing is for sure, nothing's, set in place completely yet. Everything's still kind of up in the air. We did have some drawings, but, with the way that we were, trying to plan it out, I don't think.
They were
I
kind
think
of
they thought it would
generic,
work.
run-of-the-mill drawings
Yeah.
of what you would look like in
It was-
different scenarios.
It was all gray, there's
We're not
nothing
gonna
that
solve
was,
anything tonight,
black
but
and
I'd
white.
like-
It was all
And there
just
will
gray.
be.
I want to put that request
I
out.
will guarantee you that we do.
And there's
Kelly,
a
my
lot
boy.
of smart people in this community that can lend a lot of expertise in this. We've got people who work in construction, we've got people who work in, electricians and school security and everything. So I hope that that's tapped too from the parents, when I'm talking about the parents, not just people who are big in the community, but.
I'm not
people
sure
who
yet,
are-
but I'm saying you'll probably go around from building to building and have them in each area so people have an opportunity from all the areas to give input on it. I'm kind of guessing that's the way it'll come down. Okay. Mr. Brown, would you like to say something now?
About Foxfire,
Foxfire, I mean, you can go or we can move on.
not much. We are growing, we're on the upspurt again, so, our numbers are as high as ever, we're up just over 75 students. One thing we're happy about is the weather break and then getting back to school, because I do have a lot of truancy-related students, so getting back on a regular schedule and getting them in there, and getting back to school has really helped. One thing's going on next Tuesday, we're excited, we're giving the ACT to all our juniors, so kind of preparing them and getting them ready for what's ahead in their future, so that's a big thing we're looking at right now.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Treasurer's report.
Okay, I just have approval of the minutes from January 11th, 2018, that should be 18 on 17. And financial report of January 2018. That's all I have.
Is there a motion to accept the financial report as presented? Item B. I have a motion, do I have a second? So Darren. Any question? Call the roll.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Singleton?
Yes.
Mr. Detra?
Yes.
Mr. Urback? Mrs. Wiggins?
Anything else? Move on to committee reports, anything in policy?
That's, Karen and I, that's my fault. We've talked, sent emails, and we wanted to get with Candy talking about transparency again. We were looking at Ohio checkbook, but we haven't had a chance to even begin to get into it, and I promise you I'll do my job.
Athletics.
I don't have anything. Mr. Wheeler covered it very good.
Student legislative achievement? Nothing? Mid-East? Mr. Stoney.
Nothing to report right now. We had a first meeting I wasn't able to attend because my daughter had basketball. I'll be there next month and get caught up. I have talked to superintendent a little bit, so it's definitely a little feel for us.
I don't have anything on personnel. Do you, Mr. Stoney?
No.
Building and grounds, Mr. Yodak.
Yes, I had some time today, and in the past a few times, but I have a lot of experience with the busing situation, the bus garage. And I stopped out and spoke with Mr. Lashley's son today. And Dave needs some assistance. I know we're working right now without a maintenance person for the district. And with that being said, Mr. Lashley's trying to fill in that position and do the best he can. But I didn't make copies of this because I didn't want to waste the paper, but these are work orders that have been written. And fault of no one's, but these should be addressed. You know, we need somebody that can address these work orders and take care of them. I know Dave isn't certified in all the criteria as far as the job description's concerned. So there's some, I haven't looked through them all, to be honest with anybody. Some are very, replace pencil sharpener. I mean, I'm not saying that they're all super important, but we need to address this as far as, you know, with, I'm on the Building and Grounds Committee, then, you know, I feel something needs to be accomplished to take care of this issue. You know, we need to address it. Dave, and this is just all my information. Dave is the kind of guy, I don't know if you know him, but I know him well. He isn't a whiner and he isn't a crier. He's not ever gonna say, I need this or I need that. I'm just looking into it. I feel it's an important part of any school, and if we're gonna build new schools, we do build new schools, we need to maintain them. You can build a new house, and if you don't maintain it, in a year, it's not a new house. It's not, maintenance is a key, you know. I've been involved in maintenance and taking care of things for a long time, and we need somebody in that, we need that position filled. I know we're short a few bus drivers, that's another thing, but Dave not only takes care of the bus garage and the bus drivers, he drives daily. I'd love to stand up and give him a round of applause because he deserves it, but we need to address this. So as far as building and grounds, that's where I'm at.
And I know we did some interviews with bus drivers, I think Dave did them.
Yeah, we did it Friday last week.
Yeah, so
And
we're trying to
working
get
on
bus
that.
drivers. Bus drivers, as you know and I know, are next to impossible to get.
It's hard to get.
They are just almost impossible.
You did just get a secretary, didn't you?
I have a secretary, 3 hours a day. I have
4
had
hours
that
a day.
3 hours a day, for a long time I've had that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Audit?
It's ongoing, they're wrapping up. I've had 3 of my auditors come back in the last couple of weeks. Just, their stuff had been reviewed and just had other questions. So I know 3 of them's done, been reviewed. I have a couple more, I've had multiple this year, like 6 or 7 in. So it should be done in the next month.
Through the outreach?
No fault of Mrs. Wiggins again, that's my fault. Not having enough time. I've had a tough month, but I'll get to it.
All right, transportation.
My
Mr.
turn.
Lashley.
With transportation, we're still adding new enrollment into the bus routes as they come in. The routing is going really well at this time. No issues other than, we have to fill a bus driver position once in a while, but we had great spot inspections this year. Thanks to Tony, everybody calls him Flash. I chip in and help a little bit, but he does a great job. Our spot inspections are done. We had very minimal problems with those. Very few things were found by the state patrol, so he does a great job. Winter has been interesting. I want to throw a special thanks out to Mr. Caldwell for all the early morning conversations and all the decisions that you make. And believe me, guys, it's tough making these decisions. And we talk back and forth, we text when I can and when he can, and we talk to other districts, and we try to make the right decisions. And believe it or not, this is just my opinion, I don't think we've made a bad decision yet. So it's all about the safety of the kids. We don't want to be out there if it's going to put anybody in jeopardy. And it's tough decisions sometimes, but I think Mr. Caldwell's made some great decisions, and thank you for that. And on the maintenance aspect, I get a little help from some other personnel. I call them the grounds crew, but I want to throw out a special thanks to Skinner and Katie for all the help with the deliveries of supplies and with help with some of the projects. And you'll probably hear this name again a couple times, but on our grounds, I definitely want to throw out a special thanks to Mr. Wickham, everybody calls him Skinner, Cody, our new person, and all the building custodians for all the snow removal, the salting, the cleaning of the sidewalks. What a great job they've done this winter. Thanks to all those things.
David, what's your hours? What's your usual hours?
Oh, I just put in like 23 No.
You hate to think he's kidding, but he's something serious, I think, some of the time.
Hey, food service, Ms. Norman.
I don't have a whole lot to report, but, with all the calamity days, food service did take a pretty big hit. Luckily, we were able to incorporate all of our inventory into the menu since we've been back to school. There's been a lot of changes, but hopefully from here on out, weather permitting, will be, as planned. A lot of our trucks are scheduled a week ahead of time, so you can't really predict what's gonna happen. Over in January, our co-op reallocated funds, into our commodity bank, so there's about $20,000. We're able to divert some of that $8,000 is gonna go into the fresh fruit and vegetable program, so I'm gonna focus on Brook and the high school. They're our biggest serving lines, so they will get the free fruits and vegetables through the end of the year. The rest of the money will go throughout the district and all of our main dishes and stuff.
Okay, thank you. Is there any old business to be brought before the board? No, we'll move on to the superintendent.
On A, recommend to employ the following from Joseph Adamant from volunteer baseball coach, all the way through Matt Wright, assistant baseball coach.
Do I have a motion?
Can I ask a quick question before we go into the motion?
Actually, it comes after.
Okay, okay, go ahead. I'm fine. Okay.
We
thanks,
wanna
Matt.
do it the right way.
Oh my gosh.
He made a motion.
Thank you, thank you.
Question?
Second.
Now you're up.
Okay, I've spoke to Mr. Wheeler in the past concerning this, and I don't know all these people, but you've advised me in the past that under no circumstance would there be parents hired into coaching positions at the high school level. And with that being said, can you tell me if any of these people listed in this are parents of athletes?
If I said that, we try.
There's no if you said it.
No, okay, we try not to. We want to eliminate
Try,
that.
or is it, you had stated to me that there would be no hiring of parents at the high school level.
Okay.
On more than one occasion. So with that being said, is there any of these people that we're gonna recommend that are?
Yeah, and then I'll just clarify that real quick. No. We do have some coaches on hand, we got younger kids, but not kids currently.
Yes.
And my thought is, if they've been a coach and they've established themselves, if their kid comes up through the grade levels, you're not just gonna say, well, your kid's there now, and we're gonna get rid of them. So,
John, I'm not sure you can discriminate against.
Well, there's no discrimination, but Mr. Wheeler had advised me of this on more than one occasion in the past. Personally, on several occasions, he had advised me of this. So there's not a discrimination issue at all, Mr. Detra. It's
right now, everybody that's on this list right here does not have a kid at the high school level playing, unless I'm missing something.
okay with that. Are we clear then in future?
No, well, because here's
policy.
Well,
there's
no policy.
Okay.
And here's what I said. That's not an ideal situation if we can avoid it, but there's some coaching positions where there's not people knocking down the doors to coach those. And
well, I agree at a younger level.
We try to avoid it at all costs, and especially some volunteers and even some JV level, depending on the sport. It is severely hard, but yes, if we can avoid it,
I agree
because
with that.
It helps a lot of things, but the reality is, we can't say, hey, no JV baseball season because we don't have anybody to coach. If we have somebody and they meet the qualifications,
at the high school level, those what you and I had discussed in the past.
Yes.
That's where I feel adamant.
No.
You know, I understand that junior high, because a lot of times it is a parent that's volunteering their time and doesn't get paid, so I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
But at a high school level.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I hope we can get more coaches involved, but it's tough, but yes.
I
looking
just
down
thought it
through
was a
there-
fair question, and
No, absolutely, looking down through there, I can't see unless I'm missing something.
Okay, that's.
That there's a single kid right now. We got some at the middle school level with their names in there, but that's.
The reason I ask is it could affect my vote, and I wanna make an educated decision on my vote, so.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Singleton.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams. Yes. Mr. Detra.
Yes.
Mr. Stoney.
Yes.
Mr. Riddick.
Yes.
B, approve up to 12 Meadowbrook High School students to be determined involved in the Student Readiness Collaborative through the Ohio Valley Educational Service Center to be considered to attend the I Believe camp for the SRC students at Marietta College from May 13th through 15th. The camp will be chaperoned by I Believe staff and SRC volunteers. The camp will include lodging and meals at no cost to the students, paid for by grants, and students will have to provide their own transportation. Great program. I believe some of you ladies maybe participated in it, I believe, and did some it's a great experience for kids, and we're fortunate to be able to do this again through a grant.
I'm familiar with it. It is a good program.
How do they pick them? I'm sorry.
That's a good question.
I'm learning.
I don't do it. They may know better than me. How do you get selected for the I Believe program?
The first year we did it, they did it by GPA, and then because they didn't really know what it was, so they just did the kids that had the highest GPAs. And then when we went and we came back and we realized, no, this is not a good way to select students for this. Like, this should be a thing that all students have the opportunity for, and it's not a thing with how smart you are. So we changed it to where you have to apply and write an essay and have interviews to show that you are interested and dedicated into going into the program.
A lot of character issues.
Absolutely agree.
Yep. And it's ESC, I believe, that does it, correct? ESC does.
So the ESC is heading this one up.
ESC does the interviews.
And she did a great presentation on it before, so it's a very neat thing.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept item B?
Motion.
Motion, do I have a second? Yep. I have a
Is
second.
that B or C?
That was B.
Okay. I'm looking at mine and it said C and I'm like, sorry, I'm a little vocal.
Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Erdine?
Yes.
Mr. Singleton?
Yes.
Mr. Detra?
Yes.
Mr. Stoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Wiggins?
Yes.
This next one, adjust the Rolling Hills Local School District calendar for 17-18 school year due to calamity days as presented. Obviously, Mr. Lashley talked about snow days, and with that comes some makeup days. So we met with the calendar committees, met and spoke with both unions, and it's as presented, but just starting Monday, March 5th, through Friday, May 18th, we'll be adding 1/2 hour to the school day. So it's not starting until March 5th, so it gives people time to plan. And this will be communicated if board approves tonight, tomorrow with your children through your building principals. And then the last day will be changed for students, which will be a normal day, to May 21st. Graduation dates and everything will remain the same. So starting March 5th through the 18th, 1/2 hour will be added to the student school day.
And this was approved by Joe, by the committee, by the unions.
Correct.
It was approved by everybody involved.
Yeah.
Huh? Both unions have to approved by everybody involved. Do I have a motion to accept item C? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Karen seconded. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Erdine?
Yes.
Mrs. Wiggins?
Yes.
Mr. Detra?
Yes.
Mr. Singleton?
Yes.
Mr. Stoney?
Yes.
Item D.
Here's some copies of that for some of the parents here that want this. You can get that to them. We'll share it tomorrow, but that's the adjusted schedule for next year. And at the end, before I get into item D, I have proposed calendars for the next 2 years that I'm going to share with people. We're going to actually put them on our website, and we have to let that set and get input for 30 days on that. We've taken this through the calendar committee as well, but we'll show you those proposed calendars for the next few years, and this will be voted on at our next board meeting, and it'll also be on the website. So you can get these calendars to them as well. That's not on the agenda. D, this is always a good thing, accept an anonymous donation for $100 to the Brook Jump Rope team, who will be performing at Cleveland Cavaliers next Tuesday. So they do some amazing things. This is the ball.
Do I have a motion to accept item D? Do I have a second? Questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Wiggins? Yes. Mr. Singleton?
Yes.
Mr. Detra?
Yes.
Mr. Stoney?
Yes.
Mr. Erdine?
Yes.
Item E.
Item E, approve Mike Wiggins as assistant softball coach effective 2/19/18 for 1 year.
Do I have a motion for item E? Yes.
Okay, who was first? Singleton?
Yes, madam. One first, 1 second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Singleton?
Yes.
Mr. Stoney?
Yes.
Mr. Detra?
Yes.
Mr. Erdine?
No.
Mrs. Wiggins?
Item D.
Oh, we got it. You're up.
We're already through item D.
Yeah, we're in executive.
We're ready to hear. We have yeah.
No action to follow, you're right. There will be no action after executive session tonight, I guarantee it.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Questions? Roll call.
Mr. Stoney?
Yes.
Mr. Singleton?
Yes.
Mr. Detra?
Yes.
Mr. Erdine?
Yes.
Mrs. Wiggins? We're going in at 7:54.
Say to get some air.
Come on.